अध्यक्ष जी, सप्लीमेंट्री ग्रांट्स एक अवसर होता है देश की अर्थव्यवस्था के संबंध में चर्चा करने का, और उसके अतिरिक्त जो अधिक खर्चा सरकार का हुआ या किसी हेड से खर्चे में बदलाव हुआ तो स्वाभाविक है कि संसद की स्वीकृति उसके लिए चाहिए होती है। मैं माननीय सदस्यों का, जिन्होंने इस चर्चा में भाग लिया, बहुत आभारी हूं, क्योंकि हर सदस्य ने जो उनके राज्यों के विषय से या उनको जो लगता था जनता के साथ जुड़े हुए विषय हैं, इस चर्चा का लाभ उठाकर उसकी ओर सरकार का और इस सदन का ध्यान आकर्षित करने का प्रयास किया है। अध्यक्ष जी, ये तो स्पष्ट है कि पूरे विश्व की अर्थव्यवस्था बहुत चुनौतीपूर्ण समय से गुजर रही है। एक समय था कि अर्थव्यवस्था में जो संकट आते थे पूरे विश्व में, तो कभी ना कभी 10-12 साल में एक बार संकट के कोई चिन्ह आते थे और पूरा विश्व मिलकर उस चुनौती का सामना करता था। लेकिन जिस दौर में हम लोग प्रवेश कर चुके हैं कि देशों की अर्थव्यवस्था का एक दूसरे देश के ऊपर प्रभाव पड़ता है, असर पड़ता है। अगर अमेरिका में ब्याज दर बढ़ जाए तो पूरी दुनिया में उसका असर होगा। अगर चाइना अपनी करेंसी को डीवैल्यू कर दे या चाइना के अंदर अर्थव्यवस्था धीमी गति में चली जाए तो उसका भी असर पूरे विश्व में होगा। तो ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी हैज गॉट इंटीग्रेटेड। और दूसरा एक परिणाम यह है कि ये जो चुनौतियां और संकट कभी कभी 10-12 साल में एक बार आते थे, वो अत्यधिक कम समय के बाद आने लग पड़े हैं। क्राइसिस, वॉलेटिलिटी, टर्मोइल, this has now become a new global norm. And therefore, to deal with this situation, it's extremely important for us in India to make sure that we strengthen our domestic economy to such an extent that we become resilient to a large extent, or to the extent possible, to these kind of shocks which take place in the economy world over. Where do we stand now? If you look at the world, almost with every periodic estimate, the IMF has been lowering the estimates of global growth. So the world is moving slowly. Not many people are able to predict how long this slow phase will last. A year and a half ago, nobody had predicted where the oil prices will move to, or what is going to be the movement in the next 1 year to come. So a large number of prices, oil, commodities, metals, even a number of food grains are at a low level. And this has impacted a large number of economies. The United States has shown some improvement. At times it's patchy. Europe has been struggling in the last 2 years. There have been some isolated cases in Europe which are moving up. Russia faces important challenges. China has slowed down. Brazil is contracting. And in these circumstances, India unquestionably amongst the larger economies has the highest growth rate. We had anticipated at the beginning of the year, as Mr. Premchandran mentioned, that we could try and touch the 8% figure this year. But if we look at the challenges which have impacted us, because the buyers have slowed down, the other countries have slowed down, So the export sector has contracted. But when we speak in terms of the contraction of the export sector, we must bear in mind that the contraction as far as India is concerned is not in volumes, it is in values. For example, 18% of our export basket is oil, refined oil. So 18% remains 18%, the volume of oil remains the same. But when the price of oil falls to below $40, the values decline. So the export sector itself declines. The imports have also declined because the values have contracted. So the first obvious sector which has been impacted because of the global slowdown is the export sector. There is a second important challenge that we must bear in mind. We've had 2 consecutive years of less than normal monsoon. 2 वर्ष लगातार बरसात 12% और 14% कम रही है। और पिछले अगर 100 वर्षों का इतिहास भी देख ले तो कभी ऐसी स्थिति नहीं आई कि 3 वर्ष लगातार बरसात कम रही हो। लेकिन 2 वर्ष कम रही है, इसलिए हम उम्मीद लगा सकते हैं कि अगला वर्ष सुधरना चाहिए। I only hope that the rain gods are as kind to this government as they were to the previous government. Because the previous government saw a much better monsoon. ये एक दूसरी चुनौती है। और एक तीसरी चुनौती भी है, जिसका जिक्र कुछ माननीय सदस्यों ने किया और मुझे यह स्वीकार करने में कोई संकोच नहीं है कि निजी क्षेत्र जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर है उसकी ग्रोथ अर्थव्यवस्था के लिए बहुत आवश्यक है। और जब अर्थव्यवस्था तेजी से आगे बढ़ती है और अच्छे हालात होते हैं तो निजी क्षेत्र ज्यादा तेजी से आगे बढ़ता है और कम से कम सरकार के ऊपर उसकी निर्भरता भी कम होती है। प्राइवेट सेक्टर मूव्स मच फास्टर देन द गवर्नमेंट। बट व्हेन देयर इज अ चैलेंजिंग सिचुएशन, private investment slows down. And in India, private investment slowing down is for one more reason also. The private sector during the last government had overstretched itself. The banks had been extra liberal with some of the companies. I can see Mr. Salim smiling when I say this. And therefore, having overstretched themselves, they had expanded their capacities. And when demands were slow, they are not able to utilize these full capacities. Now, notwithstanding these 3 major adversities, it has been a challenge on us how then to make the Indian economy grow. The world economy is slow, countries are contracting, trade is contracting and narrowing, and then how do you make India grow? We can take some satisfaction, and I underline the word some, in the fact that we have, even today, the fastest growth rate amongst all major economies. So these adverse factors are preventing us from reaching that 8% figure which Mr. Premchandran mentioned. But a series of reforms and positive steps that we have taken, our growth estimates are in the range of 7–7.5%. We had predicted and estimated a fiscal deficit of 3.9%. And I hope we will stick to that deficit. Mr. Nishikant Dubey had mentioned that we must not overemphasize the fiscal deficit. And if I understand his argument, and if I put it in my own language, the argument is thus: when private investment is slow, how will we get the economy to move? So you need public investment to increase. And if you compromise on public investment, or you narrow down the plan size or planned expenditure, then public investment will also reduce, and therefore your growth itself will be impacted. There is a difference between what the previous government did with regard to fiscal deficit and what we are doing. One of the reasons why growth slowed down in the UPA government was that they would give an ambitious fiscal deficit figure, and then towards the end of the year, start slashing down expenditure. So expenditure as far as ministries are concerned, schemes are concerned, would be cut down. Monies which were to be given to the states would be cut down. And once you cut down that expenditure, growth itself will slow down because economic activity is slowing down. And then at the end of the year, you say, I have achieved the fiscal deficit figure. You can only achieve fiscal deficit figure by two ways. Either you earn more or you spend less. And therefore, Mr. Nishikant Dubey has a valid point when he says that by spending less, there is no point meeting the fiscal deficit, because then you don't create jobs, the economy doesn't expand, and therefore our policy has been to have a balanced exercise. Therefore, at the beginning of the year, I had said that the journey to 3% fiscal deficit, which was to be covered in 2 years, we will take 3 years to do it. And this year, I had a modest target of only bringing down fiscal deficit from 4.1 to 3.9. But eventually, last year, we ended with a fiscal deficit of 4. So I have only a small journey to achieve from 4 to 3.9. And we are possibly going to achieve that target. And therefore, after a number of years, the current year will be a year where it's not 3.9 fiscal deficit which is important, but the quality of that fiscal deficit will also be important. We will achieve that fiscal deficit without cutting any expenditure. So what we have promised to schemes, what we have promised to ministries will not be cut down. What we have promised to the states will not be cut down. At the same time, tax refunds will not be deferred to next year. We will discharge those liabilities this year. And the quality of fiscal deficit will be much superior to what is the quality of fiscal deficit that we had in the previous years. Similarly, with a moderately good GDP growth figure, a fiscal deficit under control, a current account deficit, which was last in the range of about 1.2%, we intend to achieve that. And if we look at foreign exchange reserves are high, and if we look at different sectors of the economy, the manufacturing sector, which under the UPA government had almost become flat, and therefore manufacturing was not growing. And one of our biggest challenges was to invest in infrastructure, and therefore add to the manufacturing sector and the investment. So when private sector investment is slow, this growth is being achieved by enhancing public investment and also by enhancing and enabling the level of foreign direct investment. My friend Shri Saugat Roy has a problem with foreign direct investment. And I can tell you, if your recipe, I am extremely glad, and I fully support the West Bengal government in investment initiatives they are taking. And I'm glad that even West Bengal government is not following your advice. For the reason, and you'll have to realize, that economy can't grow till there is an adequate investment. And investment will come from wherever money is available. And if we try and adopt a stand that we don't want investment, then how are new industries going to come up? How are industries going to expand? How is infrastructure going to expand? How are new jobs going to be created? How is the government going to get more revenue? How is the government going to spend on Manrega and Gram Sadak Yojana? अगर इन्वेस्टमेंट ही नहीं आएगा, निवेश ही नहीं होगा इस देश में, और अगर निजी क्षेत्र के पास इस वक्त कम साधन हैं, तो साधन या सरकार से आ रहे हैं या साधन जहां दुनिया में पैसा है। और आज जब पूरा विश्व कह रहा है कि भारत सबसे तेजी से बढ़ने वाली अर्थव्यवस्था है, दे कॉल इट द ब्राइट स्पॉट, then even foreign investors are finding it possible to invest in India because there is more economic activity that they see here. Between last year and this year, it's increased by 40%. If you address this question even to Dr. Amit Mitra, he may not agree with you, because even in your state it is coming. And it's rightly coming. One of the high points of Indian economy today is not only growth, but the fact that almost every state, and when I say every state, I am underlining the word every. I mentioned West Bengal in your context. Every year, West Bengal is organizing global investor meets. Madhya Pradesh has done it. Rajasthan recently has done it. Gujarat used to do it. Now Karnataka is doing it. Andhra Pradesh has been in the forefront. Telangana is doing it. Chief ministers are going all over the world. And I don't know why you were grudging the Prime Minister going all over the world. If India, I feel proud every time the Prime Minister gets the largest audiences in other parts of the world, and you are grudging the Prime Minister. I am not grudging all the Chief Ministers. When the Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister goes to China or Japan or Singapore and they say we will collaborate in the building of the capital, it's a good sign. In Kerala, where there was initial resistance, even Kerala has opened up its port sector now to the private sector. And if that port sector in Kerala can get the sea traffic from Colombo, there will be more jobs in Kerala. So that's a positive sign. So states are competing with each other. अब पिछले सप्ताह हम सब इकट्ठे थे. This is a proud factor that even a state like Odisha, did you realize when the World Bank released the ease of doing business amongst the states, पहले 5 में, out of the first 5 states in India, 3 states were those which have the largest tribal population: Odisha, Jharkhand, and Chhattisgarh. Now, pardon? Thanks to the mines, and therefore, if mines, instead of being mindlessly given to people, free of cost, mines were being given mindlessly to people, free of cost, only to mine and exploit. Now, Odisha has a policy that they say, make value addition here. So when Odisha asks people to make value addition here, they create jobs in Odisha. Townships will come up, schools will come up, colleges will come up, hospitals will come up. So what is wrong with that investment? And therefore, it is this investment which is responsible when the world is slowing down that you are moving. Just now, पिछले सप्ताह जो सबसे बड़ी 2 इन्वेस्टमेंट्स बिहार के अंदर अनाउंस हुई, रेलवे इंजन बनाने की, और बिहार में an investment of foreign investment, it's foreign investment, FDI, 40,000 crores in a state like Bihar. और investor कौन थे? GE और Alstom, 2 international majors for the first time have come to Bihar. स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के भी लोग वहां थे, हम लोग भी वहां थे, और बड़ा अच्छा बिहार के अंदर अगर 2 इस प्रकार के बड़े कारखाने लगते हैं और वहां जॉब्स क्रिएट होती हैं, एंसिलरी यूनिट आएंगे, कोई इंडस्ट्रियल यूनिट आएंगे, और बिहार में तो कोई इस तरह के बड़े निवेश आते नहीं थे. तो क्या बिहार की सरकार कह दे सौगत रॉय जी की बात मान के कि हमें एल्स्टॉम और जीई इसलिए नहीं चाहिए कि वो डॉलर ला रहे हैं, रुपए नहीं ला रहे. And if dollars stop coming into India, then the rupee-dollar parity would be further disturbed. So you need more dollars to come into India so that the parity is also maintained. तो इसलिए इन्वेस्टमेंट इस देश के अंदर आए, उसका एक एटमॉस्फेयर बनाना है, उसके लिए नीतियां बनानी है, उसके लिए हर राज्य को प्रयास करना है. और इसलिए हर राज्य एक दूसरे से अगर प्रतिस्पर्धा भी करता है कि मेरे राज्य में ज्यादा है, तो यह बहुत अच्छी बात है. देश में वो माहौल बनाना है, या इस प्रकार का जब भी कोई निवेश आए हम आंदोलन शुरू कर दें और किसी प्रकार के रिफॉर्म को रोकें. इस परिस्थिति में अगर आप केंद्र सरकार की, if you see my, because everybody has said more money must be granted to these sectors, I'll just say 3 issues. When we took over, there was a slowdown in the economy. Manufacturing was almost flat. 2 days ago, when the manufacturing figures came out, the IIP figure, for the first time, we have gone back to 9.8% last month. Some people feel that it may be the Diwali effect of October, that people make more purchases, but it's a positive figure. The average of 8 months is still 4.8. So there is a slight pickup as far as manufacturing is concerned. But the accounts of the central government, having said that we will maintain fiscal deficit and a good quality of fiscal deficit, the Finance Commission said give 42% to the states. अब ये बात बार बार आती है कि ये 42% देने के लिए आपने क्या किया? One of the suggestions was that some of the centrally sponsored schemes, therefore, should be shifted to the states. We shifted some. The Chief Minister's Committee of the Niti Aayog has given some report which is under consideration. So some CSS scheme grants have come down, but 32% has become 42%. Overall, what is the figure? मैं अगर पिछले 3 साल के फिगर्स आपको बतला दूं, in 2013-14, with all the CSS money and everything, the total amount, what was the amount that was given to the states? 2013-14 में 6,29,842 crores. So 6.29 crores was given collectively to all the states. Last year, this figure became 6.80. And after 14th Finance Commission, and this includes whatever is reduced, whatever is gained. So what is the net? So 6.28 and 6.80 has now become 8.39 this year. So the states will collectively get 1.59 lakh crores more. It's a good sign. It's a good sign because when states get more, states are going to spend a large part of this money on poverty alleviation schemes, on social sector, and also on these schemes, and also on physical infrastructure. तो राज्य भी इस एडिशनल पैसे को उस पे खर्च करेंगे, उससे भी देश का विकास बढ़ता है. So my problem with central government accounts is that but for 14th Finance Commission this year I would have had 1.59 lakh crores more. So wherever I had to cut down, I could have added there. But even then we've tried to maintain a total social sector expenditure more than last year despite being 10% down. And this year there is not going to be any significant difference between the budget estimates and the revised estimates, which has been there every year. Because as Premchandran rightly mentioned, indirect tax revenues have gone up. Let me only correct you to a limited extent. Even without additional revenue measures, indirect tax revenues have gone up. On direct tax, we are lagging slightly behind. But indirect tax, we are ahead of our estimates. And I have no doubt in sharing with the House that the situation created by low oil prices, we are able to utilize for larger public advantage. Part of the money which is saved has been transferred to the consumer. Part of it goes to the oil companies, because oil companies have also lost a lot of money. We can't have oil companies, marketing companies, which are PSUs, which lose money. An oil company bought oil in future purchases at $80. It is now having to supply at $60. So at one stage, oil companies were down $30,000 to $40,000, 30 to 40,000 crores. So their losses have to be covered. Now they need money for more pipelines. So part of it which we are using for that, which is also goes in the interest of the economy, and the entire money which has come by either cess or excise to the central government is being transferred to two areas: highways and rural roads. So the highway sector, which had come to a complete standstill when Mr. Gadkari became the road transport minister, first 17 contracts did not attract a single bidder. पूरा हाईवे सेक्टर पैरालाइज हो चुका था, तो इसलिए पब्लिक स्पेंडिंग उसमें बढ़ानी थी. एंड नाउ द हाईवे सेक्टर हैज गॉट मूविंग, एंड देयरफॉर जो कार खरीदता है, कार में पेट्रोल या डीजल डालता है, बस चलती है, वो सड़क का भी प्रयोग करता है, ग्रामीण सड़क का भी करता है, हाईवे का भी करता है. तो इसलिए तीन हिस्सों में इस पैसे को बांट रहा है देश की अर्थव्यवस्था के हित में. एक परिस्थिति जो लोगों ने कहा कि बैंक्स की क्या स्थिति थी. बैंक्स की स्थिति और जो सरकारी क्षेत्र के, सार्वजनिक क्षेत्र के बैंक हैं, वो बहुत चुनौतीपूर्ण थी. द बैंक्स आर फेसिंग अ वेरी चैलेंजिंग सिचुएशन, एंड आई हैव नो hesitation in taking the House into confidence. Some people feel that the best appointments were not being made, either as executives or even on the boards. Nobody was responsible. A large number of loans have been given indiscriminately. So you have NPAs hovering around 6%. You have stressed assets again around 6%. More. So with stressed assets and NPAs of this value, this is what the legacy. So the banks need to be corrected. You need to put more money into the banks. You need to recapitalize them. So in the first supplementary, I have recapitalized partly. Hopefully in the third supplementary, I will recapitalize them. And next year, we'll have to continue this whole process. So put more money into the public sector banks. But then you have to address each of the sectors which have caused the stress. लोगों ने हाईवे बनाने के लिए पैसे लिए, हाईवे अथॉरिटीज की और कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स का झगड़ा चल रहा है, बैंक्स को पेमेंट नहीं हुआ. This was a stress sector. Now the highways have started moving, that sector is being addressed. The second sector is steel, and steel is stressed because of external factors. हमारे यहां जिस दाम से स्टील बनता है, कीमत से कम दर के ऊपर चाइना से स्टील हिंदुस्तान में आ रहा है, और वो जो डंपिंग हिंदुस्तान में हो रही है, उससे डोमेस्टिक कंपनियों का पूरा स्टील बिकता नहीं है और स्टील की कंपनियां घाटे में हैं. और स्टील की कंपनियों ने जो बैंक से पैसा लिया है, उस बैंक से वो वापस नहीं कर पाती. और यह समस्या पिछली सरकार के समय से थी, कोई इसका हल नहीं ढूंढा गया. अब दुनिया में जब डंपिंग होती है तो डंपिंग के खिलाफ कार्रवाई होती है. हमने ड्यूटी भी बढ़ाई है, हमने सेफगार्ड एक्शन भी लिया है, और हम धीरे धीरे उस सेक्टर की जो एक तकलीफ और बीमारी है, उसको दूर करने के प्रयास के लिए कदम उठा रहे हैं. तीसरा क्षेत्र, और ये क्योंकि हम सब राज्यों के भी प्रतिनिधि हैं, वो बिजली के क्षेत्र की यह स्थिति है कि आज देश में बिजली की पैदावार पर्याप्त है, ग्रिड पर्याप्त है. सो वी आर प्रोड्यूसिंग सफिशिएंट, वी हैव अ डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन नेटवर्क. लेकिन जब राज्यों में जाएगा तो राजनीति को और चुनाव को और वोट को मद्देनजर रखते हुए कुछ राज्यों को लगता था कि जो राज्यों की डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कंपनी है वो कीमत से कम दाम के ऊपर उपभोक्ता को बिजली दे. और उसका असर क्या हुआ? मैं केवल राजस्थान का उदाहरण दे दूं कि 2008 में जब सरकार बदली तो राजस्थान के डिस्कॉम पे 15,000 करोड़ का ऋण था. जब 2013 में वापस आई दूसरी सरकार तो ये 15,000-75,000 के करीब पहुंच चुका था. तो ये 75,000 करोड़ एक सरकार की बिजली कंपनी का कौन पैसा पूरा करेगा? या सरकार बजट में से देगी या लोगों पे टैक्स लगाएगी. तो एक विचित्र तरीका ढूंढा गया, बैंकों से ले लो. और कई राज्यों की बिजली कंपनियां ऐसी हैं जिन्होंने बैंकों से पैसा ले लिया और बैंकों ने कहा कि अब हम आपको और उधार नहीं दे सकते. और उधार नहीं दे सकते तो क्या बिजली बंद हो जाएगी और अंधेरा हो जाएगा? और कोई प्रयास नहीं किया गया पिछली सरकार के दौरान की इस समस्या का हल ढूंढने के लिए. सो पावर बिकेम, जिस देश में वेयर वी हैव अ सरप्लस पावर, पावर बिकेम अ स्ट्रेस सेक्टर बिकॉज ऑफ द हेल्थ ऑफ द डिस्कॉम्स इटसेल्फ. नाउ द पावर मिनिस्टर हैज कम आउट विद अ स्कीम by which the DISCOM problems are being addressed so that immediate burden on consumers is also not there, but some hike will have to take place slowly. And that debt is being transferred to the state governments, which will have to issue some securities as far as the banks are concerned. And that problem is being addressed. So the banking stress, which was an important problem, required to be addressed. Social sector. Now, besides maintaining the expenditure, now every time people make a speech that have you cut down expenditure on Manrega? No, we have actually increased it. Gram Sadak Yojana, we have increased it. The full year is not over, Dada. The full year is not over as yet. We are still in December. Because one more supplementary normally comes in February, so please wait. Our social sector schemes from Janadhan, over 19 crores accounts, जो बीमे की योजनाएं आई, जो पेंशन की आई, और पूरा प्रयास है कि धीरे धीरे इस देश को इंश्योर्ड और पेंशनड गरीब आदमी को हम लोग बनाएं, उसको सामाजिक सुरक्षा मिले. जो मुद्रा योजना हमने शुरू की है कि इस वर्ष 1,22,000 करोड़ रुपया केवल छोटे लघु व्यवसाय करने वाले लोगों को मिले और इस अनफंडेड सेक्शन को हम लोग फंड करें. यह पूरा प्रयास है. मैं केवल इतना कहना चाहूंगा कि जब इस अर्थव्यवस्था को बढ़ाने का प्रयास है और आप कहते हैं कि सामाजिक क्षेत्र में और डालिए, दुनिया धीमी चल रही है, हम ज्यादा कैसा डाल सकते हैं? केवल एक रास्ता है. देयर इज ओनली वन वे. इफ वी ग्रो फास्टर, वी क्रिएट मोर जॉब्स, वी गेट मोर रेवेन्यू, वी हैव मोर मनी टू गिव टू द स्टेट्स, वी हैव मोर मनी टू गिव टू द सोशल प्रोग्राम्स, वी हैव मोर मनी फॉर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. So the best response to poverty eradication also is that enable India to grow faster. And therefore, those who try and put impediments in the path of that faster growth are actually wanting poverty in India to perpetuate. The best response to poverty eradication has to be growth, so that governments have more resources, more job creating potential. And if steps like the GST can increase India's growth itself by a percentage or half, 1.5. After all, if we are today in adverse circumstances growing by 7.5%, let us assume a situation we are able to rationalize direct taxes. We are able to have a GST. Hopefully, we have a better monsoon next year. Global situation also improves. Interest rates are coming down. Real estate picks up a little. It's not difficult for India to grow by another percentage and a half. And therefore, our real potential of reaching that 8 to 9% growth is possible. And therefore, those who claim and want to be projected as pro-poor, but will stop every reform step so that growth doesn't take place and poverty can perpetuate. They eventually, by this short-sighted vision, end up hurting the poor in this country. Sir, the GST unquestionably was a collective wisdom of all political parties. The Congress took the initiative in 2011. They introduced it. Their two honorable finance ministers approved the proposal. And today the three conditions they have laid down are against what they themselves had proposed. They are not here in the House, but through you I wish to convey
All right, wait.
आप दोनों तो सलीम साहब no therefore let me tell you, I am thankful to you. I am thankful to your leader Mamata ji also, who has openly supported it. Other chief ministers, Naveen Patnaik ji, Nitish Kumar ji, they have all openly supported it. When there is a larger good, in fact, the biggest activist was the left front finance minister, Mr. Asim Das Gupta. I first understood GST from him when I was the leader of opposition and he came to explain to us. No, I'm grateful to you. And therefore, it's now time, and our own potential as a country will be realized if we are able to utilize all these reforms. The world is slowing down. We are a relative bright spot, and therefore we must seize of this opportunity. The world looks at us to shoulder global growth and not send a message that parliamentary democracy in India becomes an obstruction to a reform process. It has never happened since 1991. Not a single reform measure has eventually been stopped by India's parliament. And therefore, I would urge to the current leadership of the Congress party also that to look at this history and the legacy they want to leave behind, support these measures so that we are able to grow faster. We have more money, we can get rid of poverty much faster, and therefore we are able to sustain the schemes for the welfare of the poor people much faster. With these few words, sir, I commend that these supplementary grants be accepted by the House.
I will, if the House agrees, we can extend the time till the bill is passed, I think.
Fact that I want to state before the House, that an issue was raised with regard to black money. We had, with regard to some domestic black money, also made some announcements in the budget with regard to some element of that if you deal in cash beyond a certain amount, a PAN number would be necessary. Very shortly, we would be placing the notification that if you deal in cash more than 2 lakh rupees, a PAN number would be necessary. I'll be placing that notification very shortly before the House.
I shall now put the supplementary demands for grants